Hi everybody, it's Richard here again with another video. This time I'm going to rank the albums of Elton John. Now, I'm not going to do the whole career, basically because anything past 1990 I'm not quite as familiar with. Anything really in the CD age, I do have the CDs, but I always found whenever I bought an Elton John album on CD, I tended to play it about once or twice and then forget all about it. But before I do rank the albums from 69 to 89, there is a few that I do like. One is called The One, and it's got three fantastic songs on it. The title track, Runaway Train, and which has Eric Clapton on guitar, and the opener, which is called A Simple Life, which is a really great song. Made in England from 1995 is a good album as well. The song Man on this is magnificent, as is Latitude. Believe and Made in England were the singles, or the first two anyway. And Peachtree Road from 2003 is a very, very strong album. I don't know the songs individually as much in this. This is one that was played in the car and it has sunk in, but the actual titles I couldn't put a name on each song that I actually do like, but it's a good album. So another reason for stopping at 1989, and I thought it would be quite funny actually, is I'm rating the Elton John albums when he didn't have very much hair. But it's before he got that thing put on top of his head, a hair weave or thatch or whatever it's called. But before he got the bird's nest on top of his head, I thought Elton John was a pretty good artist, to be quite honest with you. So I'm going to rank these. There's 22 altogether. I'm not going to do any soundtracks, so No Friends soundtrack from 71. I'm not doing any live albums. So the one from 70 and the Here and There from 75 are out, and obviously no compilations. So 22 albums in all, and number 22 is Victim of Love from 1979. It's not very good, to be honest with you. It's a disco album. He was jumping on the bandwagon. The title track of this is actually quite good, but there's a god-awful version of Johnny Be Good which lasts for an eternity. The rest of the album is very samey. Another thing about this album is that he didn't have much to do with it. All he did was lend his vocals and that was it. No songwriting, nothing. No playing of the piano, nothing. So it's generally regarded as his worst album, and to be quite frank, it's not great. So number 21, and this is from 1986, and this is Leather Jackets. And one, that's a dreadful cover. Two, it's a dreadful title. The title track itself is dreadful. Three, the back cover is shockingly bad. So it is. That is pure 80s, but it is shockingly bad, and Elton John does not look cool there at all. A couple of decent songs off this. I Fall Apart's a lovely ballad, and Hoop of Fire is a decent enough Elton John song. It's a generic Elton song. But apart from that, there's nothing on this. Roger Taylor and John Deacon of Queen both play on this song. What's it called? Angeline. So yeah, this is number 21. Now, number 20 is the album that came before it. This is Ice on Fire. This is only saved because it's got one of his classic singles off it, Nikita, which I know some people don't like, but I absolutely love it. The rest of this album is rubbish. So, okay, This Town's not a bad starter. It's alright. But Wrap Her Up is embarrassingly bad, with George Michael on vocal. And again, Roger Taylor and John Deacon both feature in this. They did have to pick two of his worst albums on a song called Too Young, which is, no, it's not very good. So this is from 1985, and this was a major disappointment, especially after Nikita being so good. Okay, number 20, and this is from 1988. And this is Rage Strikes Back, and this was the time when he was selling off a lot of his clobber from the 70s. couple of good songs off this. The lead single, I Don't Want to Go On With You Like That's very good. I think it was quite a big hit in America too. Japanese Hands is a very nice song. It also features Pete Townsend on guitar in a very slight song called Town of Plenty. It's the lead off to the album, and it was a single, but it's not much of a song, to be quite honest with you. And then Bruce Johnston and Carl Wilson featured as backing vocalists on the song Since God Invented Girls. But generally it's not a great album either, and it comes in that time around the 1980s when, you know, he could really do no right. Okay, right. So number 18, and we have from 1989, Sleeping with the Past, and this was actually quite a big hit for him on the strength of the reissue of the brilliant single Sacrifice. But again, there's not a lot apart from that. I do love the Sacrifice single. Healing Hands is okay. Whispers is a nice song. The same sort of vein as Sacrifice, and Club at the End of the Street's like a little 50s prestige type song. But generally, again, it's not a brilliant album. So it's not, and this is from 1989. Okay. Now we go back to 1969, and we have number 17 is Empty Sky, and this is his debut album. This is actually quite good, but he hasn't found his voice in this yet. The title track, Empty Sky, is a long rocker, and it's interesting. It is actually quite good. Lady Where's Tomorrow is a good song, as is The Scaffold. But the highlight of this, and probably, I think Bernie Taupin says one of the best songs, or the first decent song I ever wrote, was Skyline Pigeon. Now, this version here is riddled with harpsichord, and it was re-recorded again as the B-side of Daniel on piano version, which is much better. But yeah, this is not a bad album, and it's worth picking up. You know, it's interesting. To say, interesting is the best way to put it. I wouldn't say it's brilliant, but I wouldn't say it's a stinker either. Okay, number 16 now, and we have from 1984, Breaking Hearts. The big hit off this was sad song Say So Much. Second big hit was Sacrifice. No, sorry, Passengers. What am I thinking? Weird song, but I quite enjoy it. This is not a bad album. In the Young's good song, and Who Wears These Shoes is a slight Motowny type song, which is actually quite good. Apart from that, there's not a powerful lot that jumps up and grabs you, but it's not a bad listen, and all of his 80s albums, it's in the middle, let's say, ranking wise. So that's number 16. Number 15 from 1980, excuse me again, is 21 at 33. They say that he only had 21 albums at 33 years of age. Well, maybe he did, but that includes live albums, compilation albums, budget albums, and all the rest of it. So the title is a little bit misleading. Little Genies, the hit off this, big in America, not so big here. There's another single off here I think is great. It's called Dear God. It was the third single, and it did absolutely nothing. The second single was co-written by Tom Robinson, and that's called Sartorial Eloquence. This is a well recorded album. This is a really clean, nice listen. But yeah, it's a good album. It's not fantastic, but it's by nowhere near his worst. Again, there's another Tom Robinson co-written song called Never Gonna Love Again. Chasing the Crown's good song. Two Rooms at the End of the World, the last song in this, tells the story of how Elton John received lyrics from Bernie Taupin. When Bernie's over in America, he used to fax the lyrics over. I think he still does, and then Elton writes the melody. So that's how they actually write songs, Two Rooms at the End of the World. And there's a co-write with Judy Suk with Give Me the Love, which is quite a funky track. It's a good album actually, I quite like this. So that is my number 15. Number 14 is his huge comeback album, and that is Too Low for Zero. I guess that's why they call it the blues, and I'm Still Standing. I'm a bit fed up with I'm Still Standing, by the way, but I still do like, I guess that's why they call it the blues. Cold as Christmas is a nice ballad. My Baby's a Saint, or I think it's just called Saint here, is good, but the best song off here, apart from the blues single, is Too Low for Zero. This got them back in the charts, and this stayed in the charts for about a year actually. So yeah, Too Low for Zero from 1983. 13 from 1981, and I love the cover of this. This is The Fox. Great first single in Nobody Wins. Best track off here is the title track, The Fox. Beautiful song. It's part of a melody actually. It's called Chloe. I think it was a hit or a single in America. I don't know if it was a hit or not. And Just Like Belgium is another single which has got a great saxophone refrain on it, but if you feel to do anything. I really enjoy this album. This is probably Elton at his lowest before he went low again in the late 80s, but I think it's a really good album and deserves a list. Okay, that was 13. Number 12. Terrible cover, not a bad album. Jump Up from 1982. Notice we've hit all of it apart from the first album. Every album's an 80s one so far. This has got two of his best 80s songs on it. We've got Empty Garden is the best tribute to John Lennon ever. And the 6-minute long All Quiet on the Western Front is magnificent. Blue Eyes is the big hit off this. And there's a couple of good catchy little numbers like Dear John and Ball and Chain. Yeah, it's a good standard Elton John album. I said it's one of his best of the 80s, if not the best of the 80s. I think it probably is his best of the 80s actually. I just can't stand that cover. So that's Jump Up for 1982. Number 11 is his second album, Elton John, and this is the one with Your Song and Border Song on it. King Must Die, In the Cage, Take Me to the Pilot, I Need You to Turn To. Did I say In the Cage? I think it's just called The Cage. I'm getting confused with the Genesis song here. And our lovely song, Greatest Discovery. This is a good album. This is, from now on, the albums are very, very strong. And this was released in 1970, I believe. Yeah. So this is the Elton John album, obviously produced by Gus Dudgeon. So we get into the top 10, and number 10 is from 1978, A Single Man. Now this is the album that brought in Gary Osborne as the collaborator rather than Bernie Taupin. Yeah, I like this. You can tell Gary Osborne's lyrics are simpler than Taupin's. Taupin's are more story based. Gary Osborne's are more sort of basic. I enjoy it. Part-Time Love, I love. Part-Time Love, I love. That sounds weird. Shine On Through's beautiful ballad. Return to Paradise it's a really catchy little number. A little bit of a Spanish-y type feel to it. Georgia and Big Dipper have the Watford football club singing in the background, and Song for Guy is just a lovely number. Yeah, Gary Osborne stayed with Elton and recorded not full albums but partial albums with him through 21 at 33 to Jump Up, but this one is all Gary Osborne, and yeah, it's not the best of covers to be quite honest with you, but it's a really strong album. And it was from this album that he did the Russian tour as well, you know, with, call him, what's his name, Ray Cooper, the actual solo tour from 1979. This is the 78 album. So, number 9 then, and we get on to, have I got the right one? I Shall Come Back. I haven't got it. Okay. Right, sorry about that. Number 9, 1975's Rock of the Westies, and this is Elton's rock album. Hit single off this is Island Girl. Flop single is Grow Some Funk of Your Own. But this is a good album. It's hard to get into because it is quite rocky. It starts off with a medley with Yell Help, Wednesday Night, and Ugly, which is a great 3-track medley, but you wouldn't expect anything like this from Elton John, to be quite honest with you. The only ballad which is beautiful is I Feel Like a Bullet in the Gun of Robert Ford. This is well worth investigating, from second album from 1975. And incidentally, in 1975, Elton John was reportedly responsible for 2% of all pop music sales in the world. Now that's saying something. So there you go. That's number 9. Number 8 is its follow-up. This is a double album, Blue Moves. Possibly this could have been a single album. It would have been an excellent single album. There's a little bit of filler in here, but it does have Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word, one of his finest ever ballads. Chameleon, which was rejected by the Beach Boys, and to me I do not know why they rejected it, because they needed a song like that, to be quite honest with you, because it's brilliant. Where's the Shiraz, beautiful. Shoulder Holster is a great song. Crazy Water, I love. Another single, didn't do too well. Around this time he was hitting the number 23s, 22s in the charts. He wasn't doing the top 10s as much. And Bite Her Lip, Get Up and Dance is a great number as well, which was a single too, but it was one of those weird singles where he had one side and Kiki D had the other side with Chicago. So that's Blue Moves, number 8. Number 7, and this is the Tumbleweed Connection from 1970. This was recorded at the same time as the Elton John album, but they decided to put a lot of the slower, more reflective songs on one album and the rockier ones on the other. And this is the rockier version. This is very southern rock type album. No singles at all off this. Reminiscent a little bit of the band, maybe a little bit of Creedence, but more of the band. But some great songs off this, like Ballad of a Well-Known Gun, Where To Now St. Peter, and Country Comfort, of course, which was covered by Rod Stewart. But the highlight of this is My Father's Gone. This is a good, strong album. Not easy to get into at the start, but well worth it. So we're getting into the big ones now, and at number 6 is Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player. Number 1 album from 1973. 2 massive hit singles with Daniel and Crocodile Rock. Highlights include High Flying Birds. I wonder if Noel Gallagher got his name from that song. I don't know. The tribute to Mark Bolan. I don't know what's it called again. That's one of my favourite songs too. I'm Going to Be a Teenage Idol. Texan Love Song's a lovely wee song as well. Blues for My Baby and Me is great. Have Mercy on the Criminal is an epic song, you know, with a lot of strings. Kind of reminds me of The Show Must Go On a little bit by Queen, but better. So this is Don't Shoot Me at number 6. Number 5, and we have Madman Across the Water. This is his 1971 album. This album flopped. Did nothing at all. No singles released off this in the UK. But funny enough, the famous song off this is Tiny Dancer, which I don't think many people had heard of until it was featured in some film in the 2000s. Don't know which one, to be honest with you. But this is a really strong album. Tiny Dancer, Razor Face, Leave On. 3 great songs off side 1. Holiday Inn, Rotten Peaches, catchy numbers, really strong. There is a song, the title track was originally recorded during the Tumbleweed Connection sessions with Mick Ronson on guitar, which is I think available on the CD of the Tumbleweed. But yeah, this is looked at now as one of his classic albums, which, you know, earlier in his career was looked at as a bit of a flop, to be quite honest with you, but no, I always enjoyed this one. Okay, so we're getting to number 4, And we have 1972's Honky Chateau. Rocketman, possibly his finest ever single, is on this. Honky Cat, which I love. Maybe it wasn't the best of choices of a single, didn't do too well, but I adore it. And one of his finest album tracks of all time is Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters. Yeah, this is just a very, very strong album. Hercules is good because it's acoustic based rather than piano based. Amy is a good song. I Think I'm Going to Kill Myself, you would think would be a very somber song, but it's a very upbeat, lifting tune to it, which is weird. Yeah, this is a great album, and it's a necessity for anybody that's wanting to get into Elton John. Which leaves at number 3. And now I'm going to, yes, I'll do it this way. Number 3 is Caribou. This is the 74 album. This has got Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me and The Bitches Back on it. Side 2 of this is immense. I've Seen the Saucers is a fantastic song. The song Stinker I'm starting to like, but I always wished it had been replaced by the B-side of The Bitches Back, which is called Cold Highway. The song Ticking is possibly, again, a contender for his best ever song, with Elton just on the guitar, telling the story of a young boy, very quiet, grew up and then went into schools and started shooting. Now, we know that's happened quite a few times in this day and age, so it's a really strong, very, very strong song. Side 1 is a little bit more lightweight, but it's still enjoyable with tracks like Pinky and Dixie Lily and Solar Prestige and Gaumont. Silly title, but, well, it's not silly, it's just a different language, I think. But it's very enjoyable. So that's my number 3. Number 2 is Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Someone Saved My Life Tonight's the hit off this. This is just the story of Elton and Bernie in their early years before they hit it big, and it's wonderful. It's a really, really great album. The title track is fantastic, it really is. It starts off with the acoustic guitar, and then it just builds. Tower of Babel is a great song as well. And I love the closing of this album with We All Fall in Love Sometimes, which is a lovely ballad going into curtains, which is almost Beach Boys-y like. Not a lot to it, but it's very uplifting. I love this album. Absolute genius of an album from 1975. And as I say, this was one of the albums that made him huge in America. Well, he was huge for a couple of years. But this is part of the responsibility of the selling the 2% of the world's sales, you know. So yeah, Captain Fantastic, number 2. Which obviously leaves number 1, and there's no surprise, it's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road from 1973. Another brilliant album. Side 1 is perfect with Funeral for a Friend, Love Life's Bleeding, Candle in the Wind and Benny and the Jets. Side 3 is also excellent, Sweet Painted Lady, Dirty Little Girl and All the Girls Love Alice. Brilliant songs. Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting and Your Sister Can't Twist But She Can Rock and Roll. Great rock and roll number, and it all finishes with harmony. Yeah, brilliant double album. Very little filler in this album. Side 2 is probably the weakest of the 4 sides, but still it's excellent, and yeah, one of the best albums of 73 and one of the best double albums of all time. So there you go. So that's my Elton John ranking from 69 to 89. Hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to the Rocketman biopic coming out. It should be good, very interesting. What I've seen on the trailers is excellent, and the guy seems to have nailed Elton John's mannerisms anyway. So anyway, that's me for now. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll talk soon. All the best. Bye bye.